Hey Glow Getters, it's your girl Ariel Rose.
And I'm Khadija J.
And welcome back to Grind and Glow. So let's get right into it. So no one really wants to be, I guess some people don't mind being called a gold digger, but let's say no one wants to be called a gold digger, but we do all want to be called gold diggers.
Yes,
so
there's definitely a difference, y'all.
Make
sure you enunciate so they know the difference.
That part. So we're heading into summer. Some of us have classes, some of us have a break, some of us are still working, some of us have trips we want to take. Regardless, we need to set some goals for the summer, for these couple of months coming up. Start, making plans for ourselves, 2-year, 5-year plans. A lot of people are graduating. It's graduation season.
It is. Congrats to all
the grads.
Graduates.
Absolutely.
Special shout out because one of our LS is graduating.
Cece.
So proud of her.
Yes. Super congratulations to her. And then another one of our LSs got into OT school.
Woo-woo.
So very proud of y'all. But yes, so the best way to go about making a goal is this method called SMART. So it's actually taking each letter of the word and putting a word to it. Is that did I say that right?
Yeah, I know. What are those called? They're not algorithms, but I know what you're talking about.
It's not algorithms.
No, but I know what you're talking about.
But it's not an acronym either.
It's not an acronym, but I know what you're talking about.
Is it a poem?
I don't
There's
think
a kind of poem that's like this though.
I don't know what it's called. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Y'all get what we saying. Y'all know what we talking about.
See. So, yes. So let's get into this. So using the SMART method, let's start with the letter S, obviously. So S is for specific. So that means when you're making a goal that you want to know exactly what you want to achieve. You don't just want to be like, oh, I want to achieve something that's really ambiguous, like something just really broad. You want to really narrow it down. So where are you achieving that goal? How are you achieving that goal? When are you achieving that goal? If you're doing with someone, who are you doing it with? Asking yourself those who, what, when, where, why questions. What are the conditions, or if there are any limitations. You want to be very specific on what your goal is. So for us, we have our own Grind and Glow podcast goal.
Yes.
So our goal is to have at least 3,000 downloads by August. So that's pretty specific. We gave an exact number. We gave a time period. Who I'm doing it with is my amazing co-host, Khadija J. And why we want to reach that goal is because we want to reach out to more people. We want more people to hear us, of course. And it's definitely possible for us. We know we can make it happen.
Absolutely.
So, moving on to the next letter.
Yes. So the next letter in SMART is M, if everyone's good at spelling. So M is for measurable. So with this, measurable goals pretty much means, you identify exactly what it is you will see, hear, feel, all of that when you reach the goal. So pretty much going back into what we used to talk about, manifesting, all that good stuff. I told you everything we talk about comes back up.
It really does.
Later on it does. But pretty much defining the physical manifestations of your goal and objective makes it clearer and easier to reach. So that manifestation comes in, you want to make sure that it's something measurable that you can actually obtain. Don't just go willy-nilly off the whims oh, I'm gonna earn $50 million. Okay, let's just be realistic. Is that a measurable goal? Is that sometimes we try to set limits, and granted, the sky's always a limit, like they say, but you have to know what it's going to take for you to reach that limit. Don't just set something and say you're going to do this, and then it's that's it.
Right.
How you going to do it though?
How
But are you actually going to be able to manifest and measure up to being able to do that goal?
Right.
So it's kind of one of those where it's make sure it's something that's measurable.
Yeah, for sure. So, because then when you reach it, you can go back and see those different steps that
Right.
you were able to measure in
Right.
order to get to that finish line.
Right, because then it's like that may not be your only goal. You may have other goals, and what you use in that can be used trying to reach another goal, or you can see what you may need to do different, what wasn't working for you during that process, what you may
Right.
need to change
That's
or
true.
add, something like that. So those are things to just be more mindful of as well.
So we got SMA. A in SMART is for attainable. So you just kind of touched on that being obtainable. So that's like, of course, like you said, the sky's the limit. But we want to make sure that whatever our goals are, that we're able to actually implement the steps
Right.
to achieve it. And so that's kind of where that obtainableness comes in. So that's like weighing out not the pros and cons, but weighing out the cost and the profits.
Right.
So like we do this with everything, like when we're picking where we're gonna eat or what clothes we're gonna
Right.
get, like is it worth the cost, and
Right.
is it like, and what am I getting, is it worth it, like is
Right.
it better, it's putting me in a better place than I was before.
Right.
So you want to weigh out, like the effort you have to put in, because obviously if you're trying to achieve a goal, you're putting in effort,
Right.
you're putting in time, you're probably putting in money too.
Hello.
So you want to make sure that you can compare that with the profits that you're getting from it, along with like all the obligations you already have in your day-to-day life, like your
Right.
obligations and your priorities. Like if you're trying to lose 10 pounds, like you want to make sure that if you only have 45 minutes to devote to the gym, maybe every 2 days because of your work schedule, you got kids, you got classes, whatever, then make sure you say that as opposed to spending 2 hours in the gym every day because you can't achieve
Right.
that because of your day-to-day schedule.
Right. It's like you may do it one day, and then the next day it's like it's at that 45 minutes. So it's kind of like now you're kind of working against your own self because you're trying to do this amount of time, but you really can only do this amount of time. But now you're forcing yourself to try and do more, which is going to start leading into affecting other things that you have to do.
Right. And that's what you don't want to do. And that's where that whole weighing out the like effort to the profit comes in.
Yes. So we have SMA. So now we have R for relevant. So this kind of goes back into the S, like being specific and asking those questions. So like the main question is, why do you want to reach this goal? Like, what is the objective behind it? Like, is reaching your goal relevant to you? So it's kind of like in that sense too, don't just go willy-nilly throwing off goals that may not even be relevant to you. It
Right.
may be someone else's goal and you're
Right.
like, oh, I feel like I can do that too.
Right.
But that's not relevant to you. You're just doing it or trying to do it because you see someone else do it and you feel like you can do it too. That's not how that works. Like how I always say, just because someone else's line is straight and yours is curvy, don't mean you need to get off your curb to try and take that straight line. Like that straight line may not be relevant to your life. You may
Exactly.
need those curves in your life to get you to where you need to be.
Right.
So everything you do, just make sure that it's something that's relevant and it's not just you doing something just off the whim just because.
Just to do it. Right. So for our goal of reaching 3,000 downloads, clearly that's relevant to us because that
Right.
gives us notoriety for one. That allows us to be sourced off of multiple different platforms and things like that. So it's extremely relevant to us. So whatever your goal is, make sure that it's relevant to you and that it's also propelling you in whatever you're
Right.
trying to accomplish, because obviously that'll be a marker for us, like that'll be a really like a celebratory moment
Right.
when we're able to hit 3,000. And so make sure it's something that is like legit relevant to you, not relevant to the people around you or relevant to your family, but relevant to you and your progress in your life.
Right. It's pretty much like it says, like asking that main question, like, why do I want to do this? If you can't answer why, it's not relevant.
Right, exactly. So going into the last letter, so you got SMART is for timely. So create a timeline, because as we all know, if we went to school or we have a job, nothing makes you stop your procrastination like a deadline.
Yes, Lord.
You will have an assignment you had due since January, It's
And it
your
was
final
due
assignment.
in May.
Exactly.
And now it's May whatever the day before.
Exactly. And you gonna turn it in because you try to graduate.
Right.
And so nothing makes you stop procrastinating like a deadline.
Yes.
So that's the best part about putting a timeline on you. But make sure when you're doing this that you're not like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds in 3 weeks. Well, I don't know if you, I don't think that's, I don't know. Let's change it.
Right.
10 pounds in 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not doing that.
No.
You can maybe lose 3 pounds in 3 days.
Maybe.
But 10 pounds in 3 days.
Right.
You have to have like volatile diarrhea or something. Or,
Just throwing up.
Yeah. Anyways.
Something. Whatever.
Anyways, yeah, so for us, we are at a certain amount of downloads now, so to do it 2 months out is a timely manner for us.
Right.
So keeping your timeline realistic but also flexible is important. So
Yes.
sometimes we're reaching up to that time or to that deadline, you know, and we're close but we're not quite there.
Right.
And so it's okay to make it flexible, to move it out or move it in a few days, or depending on what specifically your goal is, weeks or
Right.
months per se. But just make sure that it's something that if you make a deadline for it, it's not out of pocket. Like it's
Right.
something that when you measure it out, because it needs to be measurable, that it can be done in a timely fashion. And it being done in a timely fashion does not mean it necessarily has to be done quickly.
Right.
It just means that it has to be done in like an accurate and adequate amount of time for it to realistically
Right.
be done.
Right. And I mean, in a sense, you can kind of relate that to like everyone that's graduating right now. Like, as long as you graduate, that's all that matters. But in a sense, kind of like with that timeline, like how she said, things may happen to where your timeline does have to alter and you have to change and be flexible with that, because sometimes there's curveballs thrown at us. So you may have this timeline set and this date set when you're supposed to graduate, but things may change where you may have to take off a semester.
True.
Okay, so guess what? You take off that semester, but that doesn't mean that you still don't need to finish in a timely manner. Taking off that one semester shouldn't lead into taking off another semester and then 2 semesters. And now that goal that you had to graduate has gotten pushed back so far because you started procrastinating. Like, keep that same energy. Like, even though you had to change it momentarily, don't let that affect the remaining outcome of that
Right.
goal that you set.
Exactly. So with that, like, make sure when you're setting your goal, you always have a positive outlook on it. Like, some form of positivity should come through you achieving a goal, you know, of course. And so even if that goal is to like detach from someone, that should be something positive for you if that person is something or someone negative in your life, you know.
Right.
So make sure you're doing something, the goal that you're setting is done in a positive manner, because when we focus on things, it increases, like it accumulates in our mind. And
Yeah.
that's like, if I tell you not to think about an elephant, what are you thinking about?
Yeah, of course you're gonna think about it, but that's like if
Exactly.
you steady tell someone the sky is not blue, they'll begin to believe that. Like,
So it's like, it's not just about focusing on not doing something. It's just being purposeful in what you're thinking about so that your focus can genuinely be on it and your goal can seem more obtainable.
yes.
And like when you have something on your mind all the time, it's not necessarily just about stopping the procrastination, but it's about implementing things in your life that'll allow you to be more disciplined in achieving your goal.
Right.
Because that's like a big part of it is creating this discipline for you.
Right.
Because it might not be something that you even thought you could accomplish, but there's many things that a lot of us think we can't accomplish. But once we implement the discipline and like the timeline and everything else
Right.
in here to it, we're amazed at ourselves at what we can accomplish.
Right.
So with that, we'll go back over it. SMART is for specific, measurable, obtainable, relevant, and timely. So I know some people have like heard of this before, like the method, but if you haven't, here's something new for you. Take out a pen,
Right.
figure out what one of your goals is, actually write it down, and actually write out each letter, of SMART, and genuinely put down how you're going to achieve each one in each phase.
Right. So don't just have regular, degular, schmegula goals. Have you some SMART goals.
Yes, some SMART goals. Doesn't that sound good?
Right. Just
have you
sounds
some SMART
better.
goals?
Like, you could just say, oh, I got goals. But then when you hit them, oh, I got me some SMART goals. They'd be like, oh,
What's that?
What? Let me find
Let
out
me
what
get
this
some of
is.
that.
Right. Sprinkle a little razzle dazzle over here for me, please.
Okay, you with the razzle dazzle lately has been SMART goals.
Y'all.
Anyways, yes. So, if any of you choose to write out your SMART goal, send us a picture of it. We'd love to upload it. We will also write down our goal in the SMART goal format, and we will post that when we post this episode. But with that, make sure you subscribe and follow us on all of our social media platforms. That is Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We are Grind&Glow Podcast on everything except Twitter. We're Grind&Glow Pod. What else? Yeah, subscribe.
All that.
Subscribe and review us on iTunes. If you keep tuning in and you liking what we talking about, if you keying and ha-haing with us like that, leave us a little review and let the people know that you keying and ha-haing.
Let them know what's really good with this tea, because we got all the tea. The tea, the sauce, the juice, whatever you want to call it.
I think I like the sauce and the juice.
The sauce and the juice.
All that good.
All that.
All right. Yeah. No. As always, I'm your girl Ariel Rose.
And I'm Khadija J.
And remember, the harder you grind, the brighter you glow. See you later, glow getters.